Hi, my name is Mike Marshall, and what I'm going to share with you today is a brief version of the cosmological argument for the existence of God. I'll start with what I call an undeniable premise, and that is your own existence. You could try to deny your existence, but you'd have to exist to do it, so you're involved in a contradiction there. So let's start there, and then we're going to look for what we can draw from that. So if you exist, then we have to talk about whether or not there is a cause for your existence and what that cause might look like. We've got two options. We can say that there's an infinite series of events leading up to you, or that there's a finite series of events. If we say there's an infinite series, then we have a problem because we're saying that obviously everything required for your existence has occurred. But if that's infinite, we have to say an infinite series of events has come to completion, which is pretty much a contradiction in terms. If it's infinite, there is no bound to it. So if there isn't an infinite series of events leading up to you, it's got to be finite. Now, if it's finite, then we've got a stopping point as we go backwards. And we have to ask the question, what is that stopping point? Well, philosophers call it the first cause. And there are certain things that we can know about this first cause, and that's what the substance of this cosmological argument is about. We know that the first cause is going to be uncaused because there's nothing behind it. We also know that the first cause is going to be something that did not come into existence at all. It wouldn't have popped into existence out of nothing. Nothing created it. Therefore, if it exists, it always existed. So it's eternal. And we also know that because this first cause is uncaused, that it's not dependent on anything, it has no limitations. So any attribute that it has in a kind of unlimited fashion. So we know that there's order and what has been created. And so there's got to be order or intelligence in the first cause. And since there's order and intelligence there, it has knowledge, so it's got unlimited intelligence and unlimited knowledge. And this knowledge is going to be about everything that is created, but also about itself. So it's also self-aware. It knows everything about itself as well. At that point, we can look at the first cause as a living being because it's self-aware. It also has power. We know that, obviously, because it created something. But since it's unlimited, it has unlimited power. So it's all powerful. Power over everything is created and power over itself, which is self-control. So it has it's a personal being with a will. And because it has all power and it's all knowing and it's intelligent and personal, this is something that I think it's sufficient now that we can call the first cause God. It's not just some abstract force out there with no control and no desire or intention or anything like that. So we've got a God, and this God is also one that is good because it knows any moral code that applies to itself, and it knows it perfectly. It can perform it perfectly, and it will perform it perfectly because there is no disagreement or dissonance or whatever within God. And that is partially because God is atemporal and perfect. God is not subject to change because God is not a temporal being. And God is not a God that has any imperfections because God is perfect. So we have this perfect being who is personal, is all-knowing, all-powerful. Because it's all-powerful, there can be only one. Because if there were another all-powerful being, then you'd have the situation of like an irresistible force and an unmovable object. You can't have both of those. You'd only have one or the other. So God is absolutely unique. And so from starting with your existence, which is an undeniable truth, we have led to a conclusion that there is a God who has created you and created you with design and purpose and intent, just as much as the universe itself was created with design and purpose and intent. And at that point, you need to consider what the ramifications are of this conclusion for you personally.